Hello, good afternoon everyone. My name is Borja Álvarez, a student at the Polytechnic University of Madrid, and today I'll be presenting on the paper Plant Developmental Responses to Climate Change by Sharon B. Gray and Theoban M. Brady. Climate change is a complex phenomenon that significantly impacts plant growth and development. This study focuses on three key elements of climate change: elevated atmospheric CO2, rising temperatures, and growth stress. These factors affect various aspects of plant development, from cellular process to whole plant morphology. Now, let's talk about the general impacts. Elevated CO2 has profound and wide-ranging effects on plant growth. Firstly, it stimulates photosynthesis by an average of 31% across 40 species studied. This increased photosynthetic rate provides plants with more energy for growth and development. Secondly, above-ground biomass increases by about 20% in C3 species. This means that plants grown under elevated CO2 conditions tend to be larger and more robust above the soil. Thirdly, root biomass increases in many crop species. This increased root growth can improve nutrient uptake and water absorption, potentially making plants more resilient to other environmental stresses. And lastly, seed yield improves in several important crops such as soybean, rice, and beans. This is particularly significant from an agricultural perspective, as it suggests that elevated CO2 could potentially boost crop yields. Leaf development is particularly affected by elevated CO2. Average leaf size increase in soybean and poplar, however, the effects vary by cell type and leaf age. In poplar, for instance, epidermal cell size increase in young leaves but not in mature ones. This suggests that CO2 effects are most pronounced during the early stage of the leaf development. Mesophyll cell size increase in both young and mature leaves. This could potentially intensify the leaf's photosynthetic capacity. Interestingly, in wheat, elevated CO2 leads to an extracellular layer in the spongy mesophyll. This structural change could affect the leaf's gas exchange properties. This cellular level change demonstrates the complexity of plant responses to elevated CO2, highlighting the need to detailed studies at multiple scales. Now, let's focus on soybeans as a well-studied model. Under elevated CO2, soybean exhibits a significant developmental changes. Root length is intensified, and root distribution is altered. This could allow soybean to explore a larger soil volume, potentially accessing more water and nutrients. There's an increased number of leaf nodes and larger leaves. This results in a greater surface area for photosynthesis, allowing the plant to capture more light and CO2. Higher pod number and increased seed yield are observed. This is crucial for agricultural productivity, as it directly relates to crop production output. Rising temperatures impact plant development in various ways, which affects varying by species and developmental stage. It's known that temperature affects several aspects of plant growth and reproduction. Leaf initiation and expansion rates can be altered. Generally, higher temperatures accelerate leaf development up to a certain threshold, beyond which negative effects can occur. Root growth and development are also affected. Temperatures influence root elongation rates and lateral root formation. The timing of reproductivity transitions is particularly sensitive to temperature. Many plants flower earlier under warm conditions, which can have significant implications for crop yields and ecological interactions. It's important to note that temperature responses often involve complex interaction with other environmental factors and can vary significantly between species. Growth stress significantly influences plant development. particularly in roots and reproductive structures. Drought typically reduces root elongation. This is often an adaptive response to conserve resources under water limited conditions. Alters also root growth angle. Many plants respond to growth by growing roots at a steeper angle, allowing them to access deeper water sources. Decreases seed yield. This is critical concern for agricultural as a growth can significantly reduce crop productivity. Drought responses often involve complex hormonal signaling pathways, particularly ABA, which plays a key role in regulating plant responses to water stress. It's crucial to understand that these climate change factors often interact, producing complex effects on plant development. The paper highlights a need for more research on the molecular mechanism underlying these developmental responses, especially regarding the conservation of the mechanism across species. Do different plant species use similar molecular pathways to respond to climate change factors? The interactive effects of multiple climate change factors. How do plants integrate and respond to simultaneous change in CO2, temperature, and water availability? In conclusion, this study highlights how plants respond in different ways to climate change. It shows the need for more research, especially on how plants react at the molecular level and to several climate change factors combined. This is important because in the future, plants will likely face many challenges and at the same time, which could harm agriculture worldwide. As the global population grows and the climate continues to change, understanding these plant responses is essential. It could help us create stronger crops or use better farming methods. Thank you for your attention and Merry Christmas. María Jesús.